Uh-oh. Yeah. It's Mercy. Music by Mercy again. Heat Nation. We the culture. Yo, E, I need you to call timeout. Need Brady to set the floor plan. Tropical blanket. Open for the shot. Yo, Greg, set the pick. Still 5 on the floor. Still ride for my dog. Still battle on the court. Still survive in the war. Keep your eye on the ball. Or get burned from the keep this mic off the wall without turning the cheek. From night to day, no sleepy paths or allowed to morning. The nut is sleeping us. Never catch us snoring. Live from Miami. Report in the heat with 5 reasons sports from the courts to the streets. Yeah. Wake County, Heat Nation, we say it proudly.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
The home stretch of the season. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick at 5 Reasons Sports. We got Brady Hawk. You can follow him at Brady Hawk 305. And there's Alex. You got Alex Toledo. You can follow him at Tropical Blanket. The Miami Heat come back from the All-Star break with a fairly solid performance. 128-97 in Atlanta on the first night of a back-to-back. They're going to be playing Memphis tomorrow night at home. The big news today, Tyler Herro was back. He did not start. He was the best player on the floor for the Heat. And that's not the first time this has happened. Every time he comes back from an injury, he comes back in that first game efficient. We will get to him, I'm sure, more in the player of the game. But 24 points in 23 minutes, 9 of 14 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He had a steal that led to a transition layup. He looked great. He looked great. I mean, the things he does well, he does well. Okay. I mean, we can criticize the availability, we criticize the defense, the playoff performances, but as far as being able to score, he knows how to score. And he did it tonight. But the biggest takeaway I'm going to go to, and we will get more to Tyler later. I don't want to give it short shrift, but we will get more to him in the player of the game, is what Erik Spoelstra did with his rotations tonight. Because I'll start with you, Brady, on this. It was very deliberate. I think it was smart. He did some of the things that we've been kind of hinting, and more than hinting, that he should do for a while. I think he played the right guys, and I think he needs to stay with this. But the single biggest takeaway, other than Herro coming off the bench and going with Larson as a starter, 32 minutes tonight, led the team, by the way. Don't think that's a coincidence. Powell, Bam, Wiggins, all played between 25 and 27 minutes. And Hawkins played 27 off the bench. Ware played 18 off the bench with 14 and 12. I thought his effort was really good tonight. The 6 of 15 doesn't do it justice because like 4 of those misses were on one possession where he ended up finishing the possession. But Brady, it seems very deliberate what he's doing. And I think he should stay with it. I don't think there should be changes to it. He's starting with Bam, Wiggins, Larson, Powell, and Mitchell. He's subbing out 4. He's keeping Larson on the floor as the connector with a very strong bench. Herro and Yakachonis, I said, I want to see the two of them together here in this last third of the season. He went with them together tonight. And also Ware and Hawkins. He's playing those 5. He's taking Larson out and subbing in Hawkins for Larson and playing Hawkins with Wiggins, Bam, Mitchell, and Powell. And he's not playing Tyler and Powell very much together. What did you make of it?
Yeah, so I liked a lot of it. I mean, first on the surface, I think, I mean, we talked about this heading in. I'm not a big person on starting lineups. I'm more about the lineups that come after it. I just think those are the ones that end up mattering so much more in the grand scheme. And we saw that tonight. I mean, those names you listed off the bench, I mean, if you just talk about this team on paper, I mean, that's a really solid bench 4. I mean, Kasparis, Tyler Herro, Jaime Hawkins, and Khalil Ware is extremely solid. And I'll start with this because I know everything's about – we've been saying how it's everything's about leaning into your youth and leaning into what's to come. The first element of this is they didn't play Bam and Khalil at all in this game, which is kind of a big thing. But nobody cares because they're playing lineups that make Kalel better, even though they're not playing him with Bam. And the reason I say that is I like Kasparis a ton with Kalel. I think it makes a lot of sense. He gets the ball out quick and he feeds him. Pela's probably the guy on this team that feeds Kalel best in terms of putting the ball in the money, knowing how they played with each other. That just makes a lot of sense in general. And Tyler and Kalel has just been a combo from the jump that has been solid. Like they kind of have mixed in a little bit of pick and roll in this game with Bam and Tyler and Kalel and Tyler, like when needed. And they just play well together. I mean, I thought Tyler did. You said we'll get into Tyler in a little bit. I just thought he did a good job getting off the ball. He didn't hold the ball too much. He was quick and efficient with his moves, quick and efficient with his scoring. So that obviously helps. But I did like that version of the rotation. I think the biggest thing is that 4 is a solid 4, but I think Larson makes so much sense for that group. I think it's a really balanced 5-man unit, and it just, I mean, there's no drop off. I mean, there's no drop off from that initial unit. Like, it's kind of like this team is looking for consistency. That's been the battle all season. And there's kind of this thing with this rotation right now where there's no drop off from first unit to second unit. It's kind of a consistent layer of you have defensive pieces in different parts. You have scoring, obviously, as you said, when you're staggering Norm and Tyler, and you have Bam and Kalel who give you different things at the big man position. So I like it overall. I'm curious to see if it's going to stick. I hate to be the buzzkill, but we've lived this before.
Don't change it. Don't change it. Don't change it. Don't change it.
Player gets hurt, and Tyler's
I get that, but don't change.
It's going to be
don't change it. Don't change it just because of pedigree or any of that kind of stuff.
All it's going to take is one injury for Tyler to be back in the starting lineup, and then them to kind of mix up the rotation. So all I'm going to say is, I like it. Everybody likes it. It's something good. But I'm not sure this is going to be a long-term thing. I think this.
Brady, it would be something if Howell misses a game and he puts Fontecchio in the starting lineup and leaves Tyler on the bench, just because that's the type of thing he used to do. Alex, we have spent so much time this season talking about these two-man combinations and whether Spo would play one of them together and whether the other two would ever be healthy together. And Spo got away from both of them completely. He got away from both of them completely. He didn't go to Bam and Ware, and he hardly played Herro and Powell together at all. I think it was under 6 minutes, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't bad when they were out there together, but he didn't play them very much. It's almost like the things we've talked about that, like, they have to do these things. He's like, no, we don't. And it just looked a lot cleaner to me. And I love the fact that what's come out of all this is that he's decided that Pelle Larsson needs to play the most. Because that's been obvious to me the entire season.
Well, that part was actually not too surprising to me. I think we've been known that Spo is a Pella guy and will kind of has given him every chance. Like whenever there's been an opportunity, almost every time now at this point, like Pella is getting a huge opportunity minutes wise, whether he's starting or not. But he's obviously been a starter for the overwhelming majority of the season. So that part was less surprising to me, but like what you guys already talked about, some of the other stuff with the rotation decisions were particularly like I wasn't 100% sure if it was going to be Cass over Drew, like just based on how Spo has operated in the past. I didn't know if it would be one of Drew, Fontecchio, or Jovic, like in the or two of them perhaps in the rotation if you were to take out Kasparis. Like I had said on this podcast that I thought like Kasparis had already gotten kind of past that point, but part of me still wasn't 100% sure that he was a lock for the rotation. So that part of it was good to see, like with all the guards available, because that's when Cass has gotten his chances and it's grown from there. It has been with 1 or 2 or 3 guards out, but everybody who you would expect to be available was available today, and he had the consistent stint in both halves. So that's a good thing, right? And then you go to the other one that was a little bit somewhat surprising to me was Gardner as a 10th man.
Yeah.
And I already mentioned it, like Fontecchio, Drew, Jovic, like those guys have all been factors in the rotation at different points this season in one way or another. And Gardner has really come on here, and another guy who really started to play when others were hurt. So for him to make the cut over those guys, that was probably the biggest surprise to me, not because he doesn't deserve it or anything like that, him getting that standard the other day. But it's just he put him in over so many other guys who have had chances this season and have had it feels like a longer leash in the rotation there, and Drew and Simone specifically. Nico not as much. Yeah.
It feels like this is going to be a 9.5-man rotation. It feels like, and he's done that before, that he might play 10 in the first half, but not in the second. And
that's the classic Spo 10-man rotation.
It is, and what it does is it allows him to choose the player that night that they need based on the matchup. So some nights, if they need more of a defensive guy for 6-7 minutes, it's Gardner. If they need another shooter, it's Fontecchio. If they need a perimeter defender, and another ball handler, it's Drew. And then at some nights it could be Jovic. I thought Nico's comments, we didn't get into that, but Nico's comments to Zach Weinberger were really interesting, and I probably didn't sit well with Spo, I'm guessing. I don't know if you guys saw all those, but there was a little bit of excuse making in there that I don't know that Spo's necessarily going to love. I don't know that he's going to get himself back in the mix here anytime soon. But it feels, Brady, like it is. It's 9.5, and there will be an injury, which will change this. And then one of those 10th men will end up getting some of those minutes in the 9-man rotation. But I just don't think he should change anything here in terms of what he did tonight. In terms of the 9, the 10th, I think it could be variable. But they're playing a Memphis team tomorrow that's trying to lose. So this is another one of those situations they just can't blow the game. But do you think I'll throw it back to you, and then we are going to get into Tyler here and player of the game. But do you think he'll change it? Do you think he'll change it without an injury?
A little bit. I kind of do. I think eventually, without injury is tougher because there is going to be an injury at some point, right? Not that it's going to be a major one, but at 25 games left, it's going to happen. So that's kind of my intuition, is that when things get shaken up a little bit, I think there's just going to be something where they go back to what they're used to and they go back to it. Now, as they continue to be healthy and with this consistent rotation, I think they stick with it for this time being. The reason why I like it, and I think it makes most sense for getting the top part of the roster, I think what makes sense is the player that I think is a perfect example is Wiggins. Yeah. When they're healthy, he gets put in the perfect position. He's right back into the opposite role he should be in. It's so obvious when you see when they're without guys and he has to step up to being the second or third option at times. I'm watching him tonight. It was so free flowing. It was he didn't have to do too much. It's he's in these lineups where even if he's with the second unit and it's Jaime and Tyler that are on the ball in the first unit, it was a lot of Bam early on. It was Norm kind of catching it and going. Davion obviously has the ball in his hands a ton. So I think that's just the perfect example of this rotation and the balance, and why that makes sense is just that it puts a lot of these guys in the right spot. Now, the only thing I'm curious to see if they do a little more of is the Norm Tyler thing. I think part of the reason why we didn't see it as much is because Tyler's minutes are limited right now. They're trying to work him back slowly. There's one thing to work him back slowly off the bench, which could stick for a little bit. But it's another thing that his minutes are obviously going to rise. So what that means is he's going to get back to playing with the starters. He's going to get back to playing with that unit, which is a good thing. I think they need a little bit of a mix of it, of him running his own lineup and them doing it. But I think they also need to figure it out because, look, when they play some of these, when they're in that play-in game and it's a tie game with 2 minutes left, they're both going to be on the floor. They have to figure out how to close.
Well, hold on. I want to get to that. I want to get to that because the more interesting part to me is they didn't need a closing lineup tonight. Mm-hmm. They didn't need a closing lineup. Their closing lineup tonight was Fontecchio, Keshad Johnson, Nico Jovic, Drew Smith. They will eventually need a closing lineup, and I am curious how Spo plays that. If he's basically rolling out these 4.5-man units, right, where he's 4 guys he's keeping together and then anchoring the starters with Jaquez in the second time around and anchoring the bench with Larson. Does he stay with the 5-man group? If the bench group is playing better, if the Kasparis, if you've got basically Kasparis, Jaquez, Larson, Ware, and Herro playing better, we're not going to see Bam in some of the situations. I don't think that's the case. I think
insert Tyler for Davion.
Okay, could be. That could be. All right, so let's get to that. I want to get to Tyler specifically, so we'll do player of the game. But I just want to get to a couple of other guys here before we forget tonight, because guys did fit in their roles tonight against a team that's not great, but still. I mean, Wiggins, like you said, I thought this was a strong game for him, even though he was 5 of 12. Bam was 8 of 14 from the floor with 8 rebounds and 5 assists in 27 minutes. Powell, not as efficient tonight. He was 5 of 13, 2 of 8 from 3, but he had a couple. I thought he had a couple strong finishes tonight. Larson, I mentioned 12 points on 6 of 9, 6 rebounds, just 1 turnover. And Davion had 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2 turnovers tonight. So, I mean, you got enough out of the starting group, and yet it was actually the bench that popped the most overall tonight. Let's get to player of the night.
And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
All right, it was Tyler, obviously. Alex, what did you like tonight? I mean, the efficiency, the stats were good, but I mean, he came back from the last injury looking good also.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's not really I imagine, like, not an easy thing to do for a guy in his position, right? Who has found himself in the position of having to come back from injuries multiple times this season, from long breaks multiple times this season, and has come back looking relatively pretty good every time, just kind of taking away concern that he would come back and we would have to deal with some sort of decline or some sort of ramp up before he got back to the level that we expect of him, right? And he has continued to look like what he's shown in the other times that he's come back from an injury, where he adjusts, he becomes more of a play finisher than he has in years past, and he's just kind of continuing along that line of, hey, look, I'm willing to play, I'm willing to do the right thing here, and I'm not here to dominate the ball. And he, not only has he been willing to come off the bench now, but he is doing it in a way where he's not like, oh, this is my bench unit where I'm going to dribble. He's not this is not the situation here. Whether he's the first sub or not, which he wasn't tonight, but I just like his process with the way he's doing things. Like, there's a certain confidence with him, with, like, I feel like what spots he knows he wants to get to, like the floater, the three, we know what he's good at. And that's really what it comes down to, is that so does he. So you get the things that he's good at with Tyler, and there you go. It's a good thing to see once again in a game returning from injury there with a lot of pieces that are being managed and balanced there in the rotation, because it's a completely new dynamic there as well, with like all these rotation decisions we've been talking about. Like, we literally haven't seen some of these units, especially that bench unit, right, that Tyler was starting with there. Like, we haven't seen these lineups all year. Cass, Tyler, Ware, Hawkes, like, that's a really funky unit compared. Like, we just haven't seen that. So not everything is going to be like perfect from night one, but tonight it's like, okay, there's some real depth on this team. Now, what they can mold this into, I don't know, but it's like, okay, like there's 2 good lineups here. If you kind of find a way to meld all these guys' skill sets together, 2 decent lineups. We don't expect a lot from this team. Like, they're a slightly above 500 team, but I think like what they kind of showed tonight is interesting if they really give it a shot going forward. I want to see a little bit of Bam and Ware sprinkled in together, a couple minutes at least every half. But other than that, I like what Spo was thinking.
Well, this is typically a time where Spo starts to figure things out. We've talked about it before. It's kind of around March. He has time during the All-Star week to plot some things, and it coincided with the team getting healthy. So now he has all these pieces to work with, and this is what he's come up with. I'll go back to this on Tyler. Okay, first thing, I think you're right about this is a very high upside bench. Okay, and you know what they're going to do potentially? They're going to destroy these tanking teams with their bench, because what these tanking teams are basically, they're just rolling out enough not to get fined right now. Okay, so like their starting lineups are not awful. There are a lot of bench guys, but these tanking teams are all throwing out G Leaguers, as their next 4. And you're bringing off Hawkes, Ware, Herro, and Kaspers.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see that again tomorrow with Memphis.
Right. And I think the way that they're structuring this is maybe the starting lineups, maybe it looks okay some nights, maybe it doesn't. Okay. I think it's a stronger defensive group overall, but like maybe the starting lineup doesn't click on certain nights. Bam and Wiggins are not aggressive or efficient or any of that. But I think that the Heat are going to be in a position where they can start rolling teams like halfway through the first quarter. And that's that would be the way that I look at this now. And you can evenly distribute a lot of these minutes. I guess, Brady, you're sure that the closing lineup is going to basically be Tyler for Davion, right? That's what you think he's going to. I mean, could it be Hawkins over Larson sometimes? I would think that's possible, right?
Yeah, I think there are little things you could change. I mean, maybe if Wiggins doesn't have it going on a night, I think they could mix it up and expand, different possibilities. But I think generally that's kind of the way they're going to go. That's why I think the bulk of the game, of getting them through the game, is countering these guys and balancing these guys out to find a level of consistency. But then when it comes down to it, I mean, both of them are closing. Norm and Tyler are going to have to figure out how to play with, next to each other late. So, and then the other thing I think that's interesting is like this entire season has been about figuring out the third quarter thing. Like the third quarter thing is tied to what we're talking about, which is rotational balance of like finding things throughout a half where maybe this lineup to start the half is really good, but when they mix in this lineup in this short 3-minute pocket, things go south. This kind of fluidity kind of allows you to kind of just be more consistent. So I think you saw that in this third quarter specifically. I mean, the first half, the second quarter wasn't great. The Hawks made their run. They kind of came back a little bit. I know they were shooting around 30% at that point. But the third quarter, I mean, they were steady throughout. I mean, they put up like 30 in the quarter. And both lineups look good. There wasn't like one outscored the other. I thought the first unit, did their job, and the second unit came through. So this is one game though. Like they're going to have to build off this. Like we can't fully crown like this type of game, but I think it is a good stepping stone, and it shows why they need to kind of stick to it and find this type of answer.
I want to get to the play of the night now, but I think the other thing that we could see, Spo has not done this a lot over the years, but the third quarter has been such a problem that I could see some scenarios where he gives that starting group a real quick hook in the third. And maybe even subs in one of these other guys for one of those guys if they're not going. Because, again, I think he'd like to keep some of this together, but he has so many options now off the bench. The other part to mention, and this is not a slight to Drew Smith, who I like as a player and I really admire as a person and a competitor, okay, he has earned his spot. But Kaspar's raises their ceiling. There's just no question about it. And I think one of the key developments over this month, and I think you got to give Spo some credit for this, for leaning into it and giving him the leeway here to grow over this past month, is that he's now in position to play with this second unit. And he's in position, I think, to raise a ceiling. Whereas if you're putting Drew out there with Herro, it doesn't raise the ceiling. But they need to. Here's the other thing. We don't know what they're going to do with Tyler long term. I know that we're going to do many more podcasts on this. I still lean in the direction that they're probably going to extend Norm, although he looks like he's wearing down to me a little bit right now. But I still think it's likely going to be Norm and not Tyler. But forget seeing Norm and Tyler together, because I don't think both of them are still going to be on the team next year. But Cass is, most likely, unless he's included in a trade for someone like Giannis. And so I want to see Kaspar's play with Powell, and I want to see Kaspar's play with Herro. I want to see what that looks like. And also Kaspar's in some ways hides some of Herro's weaknesses, because he has proven to be a pretty stout defender. If you put Kaspar's out there with Larson, with Tyler, then you can hide Tyler on the weakest offensive player. And also, as again, talking about these tanking teams, these tanking teams will be throwing out guys who can't score at all. And so Tyler's not going to have to deal with this defensively now. Now, again, once they get to the play-in or playoffs or whatever, then he's going to start getting hunted again. But for right now, I don't think it's going to be a big problem against a lot of these teams. So we'll see where this goes. Let's get to the play of the night. Nope. The other one.
And now it's time for the X-Ray of the Play of the Day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-Ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. 96-20. And now, the X-ray of the play of the day.
I'll let either of you guys choose. I mean, I thought it was honestly, I'm going to start with the first play where Kasparis and Tyler connected for Tyler's first basket there. But Alex, you got something else?
Honestly, I wasn't prepared for this. But I do like the one you point out because it kind of harkens back nicely to what you were just talking about there before the break, with wanting to see Cass and these guards play together. Because I do think it's a good point there, like being able to watch these guys play off of each other, having a backcourt where, Cass, who is a natural playmaker, natural passer, can play off of a guy like Tyler. Both of them are willing to move the ball. Cass can guard the one or the two, has had these moments as well against bigger players where he's able to hold his own, not get over leveraged as a result of the strength or whatever. Like, I think there's some upside there with what those two can do together if you are going to have that be the backcourt going forward, whether it's him and Cass or Powell and Cass. Like, I just think either way, you got to kind of see something there. And I already kind of feel good about the dynamic between Cass and Norm because they sort of have a similar sort of I think natural dynamic, their natural chemistry, where Norm is a guy who plays off the catch, and Cass as a natural passer. Like, it feels like an easier, more natural fit. Whereas Tyler and Cass, maybe not quite to that level, but I think like that's why like seeing them come off the bench together and enter together as they did tonight. Like, I think seeing more of that should be useful in trying to see like how they play off of each other. Because again, like, we don't know, like we keep saying that like it would be kind of surprising if all of these guards are back next season. But when you really start to go through like the scenarios, isn't it likely that all these guys are going to be back? How likely is it that they move Tyler, right? Like, not to get into off-season
Well,
stuff.
no, Alex, it's a good point.
Strike a trade for Giannis, isn't it? Aren't there good odds that all these guys are going to be back on the roster next season?
It's a good point because we always talk about Tyler in the context of the extension without mentioning, well, they could just not extend him and just bring him back on the last year of his deal, right? And sign Norm to a shorter extension, which is the direction I think they would likely go now. 2 years,
especially with what's happening with Nico
option
right now.
Well, right. I mean, and Nico's extension kicks in next year. So look, it's not a crazy scenario that they just run it back, and I don't want to freak everybody out here, but I mean, we've seen it happen before. So it wouldn't be stunning if it happens again. Well, overall, and we'll close it here because I think we've gone to enough stuff, and I want to save some stuff for some other podcasts. Make sure you guys check out the On SI sites. Obviously, we run the Heat, but also the Grizzlies, who are in town tomorrow night. Brady just put his takeaways up there. The biggest takeaway I have from this is, look, Tyler is always going to be a natural scorer. Like, he's really good at it. Okay. He's a very skilled player. He may not be what they need to get to the next level, availability being the number one reason for that. But like, he can do this stuff in his sleep. And I still think there's some value to that. To me, I think he could earn so much grace and credibility with the fan base if he just leans into this now. Just lean into it now. I know he does. I know he wants to start. I know he believes that he's a starting two guard in the league and certainly can make the case. But this would do a lot, I think. And I don't know that it necessarily will hurt his financial value going forward if he leans into helping them win and is scoring at a high rate off the bench. That has value, right?
It might help him because teams around the league, like I feel like maybe like we talked about this on a recent pod, Ethan, but if he's seen as somebody who is more pliable, who is more malleable as far as being able to play with different units and doesn't necessarily have to be a starter, right? Like, I think that could help a team who is, like willing to trade for him and find out whether they would want to keep him or not. Whereas like if you just look at him as a guy who has to start and play 35 minutes and get a certain amount of usage, then maybe it kind of makes things a little bit tougher whether or not he would have a market as a trade piece or whether in free agency if he doesn't get the extension.
Well, to that point, I mean, if he's ever going to win anything significant, he's likely going to be a sixth man for that team. I mean, to play on some of the teams that we're talking about, if he ends up with a San Antonio or with some of these teams, the elite teams in the league, that's where he's going to have value. And it's going to be ultimately, if it's not going to be Miami, it's going to be a team that has managed its cap well enough that they can pay him a significant amount of money to be a 30-minute a game guy coming off the bench. That ultimately is his best chance to really flourish in the league. And there will be a team that has managed itself, and it looks at Tyler's bench production as like the missing piece. Okay, that could happen. So I don't think this, another idea we've talked about, not only the idea that if he doesn't get extended, he won't be here next year, but the other idea I think we never really talk about is I think his value as an NBA player could be as great financially if he's playing 30 minutes and really excelling as a sixth man as it is if he's being hunted as a starter. And it's just a different way to look at it, but we'll see if he leans into it. If he leans into it, they have a chance to be interesting down the stretch. They're not winning anything significant, but it is his best role, and he was the best in the league at it when he did it. And tonight he looked very comfortable doing it again. Yeah, exactly. Bronze Joker's bet you. Imagine Tyler off the bench in Detroit. I mean, some of these things, he could be the missing piece for a team to win a championship in that role. As a starting two guard, it's going to be a lot harder to put the pieces around him for that to actually work. All right.
Will he want to play behind Duncan again?
Well, there you go. That's true. He would end up playing behind Duncan. All right.
It actually makes sense too. That's the worst part about it.
All right, let's train him to Detroit. It's not transaction season right now. All right, we appreciate it. Brady Hawk 305. Alex, follow the Tropical Blanket. I will be at the game. By the way, everybody but Brady in our little crew here has February birthdays. So happy birthday to Greg tonight. That's why he's not here. And happy birthday to Alex tomorrow. Nobody wished me a happy birthday.
Sunday, but yeah.
Sunday, whatever. I know you're taking tomorrow off. All right, have a good one, everybody.